Welcome to In 5 Minutes. In this video, we are going to see different steps in the instruction execution and how they are performed in single bus CPU organization that we studied last time. I hope you remember all the components from the single bus CPU and the different registers and their operation. So let's look at the first instruction step, that is the instruction fetch, how it is performed. So each step in the instruction execution is divided in different time cycles. So these time cycles actually decide which operation is performed. And during each time cycle, the control signals decide which operation is performed. So for instruction fetch, in the first time cycle, that is first T state, the contents from the program counter are loaded in memory address register, that is MAR. So the program counter contains the next instruction address that is loaded to the memory address register for fetching the instruction from the instruction memory. When the instruction is fetched, it is loaded into memory buffer register that holds the temporary data for the single bus CPU. So, and in the final or the third T state of instruction fetch, the contents of the MBR, that is the complete instruction, it is loaded into IR or instruction register. And now in the instruction fetch, we also want to increment the program counter to fetch the next instruction after the execution of current instruction is complete. So the incrementing program counter is also involved in the instruction fetch. So these three operations are performed, or these three different T states are executed during the instruction fetch. I hope you understood the role each register plays in this instruction fetch. Now let's have a look at operand fetch. First of all, let's see how register indirect addressing mode the operand is fetched. In this mode, we know that the memory address is stored in the register. So in the first T state, the register contents in which the memory address is stored, they are loaded into memory address register MAR of the CPU. Now note that in this T state, the appropriate control signals are also given to the memory. And in the next T state, the data is loaded from the memory to the memory buffer register, the same as before, and we have completed our operand fetch. So basically, the operand is present now in the CPU in the memory buffer register. Now the second type of operand fetch is indirect or direct, we can say. That is the instruction register itself contains, or the instruction itself contains the memory address required. In this case, the address field from the instruction register is loaded to the MAR, and again the data is fetched from the memory stored in the MBR. So we have seen the operand fetch operation. Now let's look at the execution of a particular instruction or the execute stage. Okay, so let's look at this execution of this instruction at R1A. Now A here is memory address of the operand. So the contents of this memory address are to be added to the register R1 and the result is to be stored back in R1. So this is the operation we want to perform. So first of all we have to do is load the contents of the address or the address field from the IR to the memory address register and fetch the data from the external memory. In the second T state, we will have that data stored in the memory buffer register. So first operand is stored in the MBR. Now in the third and final T state of this execute cycle, we are going to perform the ALU operation on it. So we are going to add the contents of R1 to the MBR using ALU and store the result back in R1. Now here you must understand that different control signals are to be provided to ALU, MUX, and the input-output registers so that they perform this operation in one cycle. So this is basically the job of control unit and the instruction decode logic. We are going to see the role of control signals very soon. So please stay tuned for more.